Hey, Gary here. Welcome to BookMob, episode 23. Today I'm going to be talking about a great book that I read called Final Spin by Jocko Willink. Now, Jocko Willink is a former Navy SEAL, and he has a very, very successful and highly watched podcast called Jocko Podcast. And he has written, motivational books, books about leadership, and he also has a range of kids' books. So this is his first adult fiction novel, and I loved it. It was great. It was just such a great read. I managed to read it in one day. I took it in, I think, 3 or 4 sittings. Now, that's the one thing about reading. If you're going to be taking a flight anytime soon and you want something to engage you in and keep you busy while you fly the couple of 100,000 miles away from home, this is the book I can recommend, Final Spin. One of the things I love about this book is the choice, even though font, choosing a font is sort of like a lower sort of measure of a requirement for successful literature. However, Jocko, I assume it was Jocko, who chose to use the font Chandler 42. And Chandler 42 is like a kind of like an old typewriter. Just have a look at that. And I think it's called Messy Typewriter or something. And the reason the font is called Chandler 42 is it's written in the style of, like an old typewriter that detective writers. And so, Raymond Chandler was a very well-known writer in the 40s and 50s and 60s. And also the 42, Chandler 42, the 42 stands for, I think that was the year that a particular electronic typewriter was first introduced. But anyway, I mean, regardless of that, that's just more of a fun point, because it is like reading. Final Spin for me is a film. It's like a film noir. If you don't know what film noir is, it's a genre of films in the 40s and 50s about detectives, about people who've lost control, and there's always some kind of sort of a tragedy on the way to happening. And Jocko really does a great job in creating a very simple but engrossing story. It's about decisions you make, wrong decisions, and also the outcomes of bad decisions aren't necessarily always going to be bad. There might be perhaps an outcome at the end of a poor decision made that at the end of the actual story, you can see that there is some goodness trapped somewhere in that initial decision that led to the tragedy. And look, Jocko writes a very, very pared down, it's like pared to the bone narrative. And I think in my Goodreads review, I used the word monochromatic. And I know that's a visual term, but I was trying to introduce the idea that he writes in a style that is just one sort of quick, fast, bitey sort of narrative that just gets every essential idea through. The two characters who. I don't want to give too much away from the story, because the journey is watching how a young person, a young man, makes a decision based on good things, but he makes a decision that's pretty bad, and the outcomes of these decisions are just terribly tragic. The story is, like I said, it's a simple story, but the way it's told, it's almost it folds out in a very sort of linear fashion, so that you can feel the growth of the character and the story as it goes up and up and up, and then you get to the stage where things start to go wrong, and everything starts to go wrong at once. Just like things, incidents that happen here disappear, and then they come back to bite the character here. And there's a very good use of language, the simple bare bones language that allows the reader just simply to flow through page to page. It's a very, very easy, satisfying, entertaining, joyful read. And like I said, if you're going on a trip, seriously, if you're going if you're flying away somewhere, pick up a copy of Final Spin, because you'll be busy for at least 4 to 5, 6 hours maybe, and it's thoroughly engrossing. It's a wonderful novel. The story isn't like superb, or it's not dynamic in the sense, oh, this is great literature, but it's a really good story, and it's got a moral into it. And I guess, you're thinking about a man, I'm talking about Jocko Willink, he's a former soldier, he's a soldier, but he was a Navy SEAL, of course, who, spent, I think, 17 years, I'm just talking off the top of my head here, 17 years in the military, and served in Iraq. And when he gets out of the military, he starts his own company, and he's been releasing books about leadership, and he's been using his, his presence as a way to motivate people to, get things that they want in life. Be it money or weight loss or position or status. And his books, he has released some children's books about the warrior kid, and I've never read them, but I like the idea of it. And when I heard that he was writing a novel, I couldn't wait to read it, because as it turned out, a fantastic, enjoyable book, and I can highly recommend it because it tells a simple story, has a very engaging narrative. And I thought for a former SEAL, former military person who's built a double life, post his military experiences, he's presented us with a great book that's worth reading. Okay, thanks for that. And make sure you guys look around at bookshops. Go to bookshops, and especially if you can find secondhand bookshops, go to secondhand bookshops and just pick up something that looks, just look for the cover. Look for something maybe 40 years old, 50 years old, and give it a go. I'm sure you'll find something that you can like and enjoy, and maybe it'll push you on to read that new discovered writer that you've never heard of. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week with another episode of BookMob. See you later.